Welcome back to another Out of the Park 22 video. If you've missed the previous episodes in this series, the mission here is to get Buck Showalter a World Series ring with the New York Mets. We put Buck in charge of the Mets at the start of the 2021 season and gave ourselves 3 years to do this. The first 2 years, we've made the postseason. We have not won the World Series. We are now entering the offseason. We're in December of 2022, and free agents just filed, which seems late to me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you what we've done so far in this offseason. We had a lot of decisions to make with free agents, and we've got some holes to fill, which is what she said. And so, yeah, I'm going to take you through that. Let's start with the transaction log, because as I showed at the end of the last episode, we had a bunch of guys coming up for free agents. DeGrom was opting out. So I'm going to just walk through some of these. So we did not bring back Carrasco because he's hurt. Kiermaier we didn't bring back because he was redundant with Robles healthy. I think we went over Seager did not opt out and DeGrom did. We brought in Rob Nasty Boy Dibble to be our new pitching coach because our old pitching coach retired. So we signed Tommy Kahnle to a 2-year deal, $5 million per year. A total of $10 million to be the anchor of our bullpen again. He was super good last year. I mean, super good might be a little strong, but he was very good. ERA plus a 122, FIP minus a 78. He was a very good reliever. $5 million a year for 2 years. He's 33, but very reasonable price to bring him back. And so Jacob DeGrom, he's back. 4 years, $107.44 million. This is not the contract I wanted to give him at 34 years old. He was very good last year. He wasn't like lights out, but he was very good. It's a little concerning, but you know, we couldn't let him walk. We need to bring him back, hoping he could be DeGrom or DeGrom-ish for another season for us. So he was asking, I believe, and I think I showed this at the end of the last episode. So 4 years and he wanted the last one to be a player option and like 28 million. I was trying to get him down to 3 years. I was trying to get him to not have a no trade clause. I was trying to get his average annual value down to like the $24-25 million range. And I was sending offers back and he'd respond, and it seemed to be like, you know, we were working towards a deal. And all of a sudden he got pissed. I guess he just reached the end of me trying to nickel and dime him here. And all of a sudden he went to like 4 years, $45 million per year. So I was like, okay, if I don't come back with something that he's going to accept, he's going to cut off negotiations. And I didn't want to do that. So I went very close to his ask. I think I'm maybe $1 million below what his original asking price was. I gave him the 4 years. I gave him the player option. I gave him the no trade clause and basically just bit the bullet to keep him. Now, if I were playing a full sim with the Mets, I don't know if I would have given him this deal. I've been trying, to kind of balance it of like, I want to play this to win aggressively now over the 3 years, but also not make it completely unrealistic and burn, the Mets' future after these 3 years, but with still a heavy emphasis on these 3 seasons. So, this is a reasonable deal to give him, I think. Hopefully he does not decline any further this year. I think if we can get DeGrom of last year with 3.5 WAR, 4.8 R WAR, this kind of ER plus and FIP, I'll take this. It wasn't like a Cy Young caliber year, but he was still very good. We'd take that again. So DeGrom is back. All of these guys here, Peterson, Anderson, Alonso, Smith, Guillorme, we avoided arbitration with each of them. Now, Jeff McNeil here, we signed to a 3-year extension. McNeil had 2 years of arbitration left. His estimates were $14 million and $19 million, and then free agency. He wanted $17 million for 1 year. So I offered him the $17 million for 3 years because it got this year, it got this year at $17 million. 2024, his arbitration estimate was $19 million, so we got that under market value. And then we wrapped up a free agent year at $17 million too. And I'm really comfortable with that with his age. I feel like this is a deal I definitely would have given him if I were playing this sim out longer. He's been just absolutely outstanding with the bat. So, not the best fielder, but we can live with him out in right field when he's producing this kind of value at the bat. So that's McNeil. He's back on that 3-year deal. I like that extension. Almora is back. It's a 2-year deal worth a total of $5.9 million. Basically just as our center field insurance. We want a guy with 70-plus range out there. He's also a spark plug and a leader, which doesn't hurt. Pretty poor with the bat, He's hopefully a guy who doesn't have to play too often like he did in 2021. But, I think we would be fine with him getting 125 plate appearances and being our center field defense insurance. Chris Taylor is back, 2 years, $11.5 million total. He's almost like a super utility guy for us. He got 70 starts last year. He put up 2.2 WAR, which is pretty excellent for 289 plate appearances. WRC plus was 140. Pretty hard not to bring him back with the year that he had and his defensive flexibility. Although he's not great anywhere, he's kind of like a super utility guy for us. Robles, we signed him to a big extension, 6 years, $93.5 mil. He was asking for well over that. His arbitration estimate for this year was like $8 million. And so these 2 years were arbitration years, and then we wrapped up some free agent years at 17.5 and 20 million. The 6 years of $5 million buyout, which isn't cheap, but it's 6 years. He's 25. He's really was one of the best center fielders in the game last year until he got hurt. We only got him for half a season, and he put up 3.5 WAR. I mean, he had a 7 WAR pace. He's a great player in this game. Like I said, I think Derek Van Riper of Rates and Barrels in The Athletic probably programs this game because Out of the Park and Derek are the only people who think Robles is actually this good of a player. But he's awesome. He's an elite center fielder, and we've got him locked up for 6 years. Very happy with that. Cut bait on a couple guys. December, nothing big here. These were just auto renewals. Some guys became free agents. Miller. Giselman just wanted too much money, man. Like, he was good depth, and he's a good player, but I just couldn't justify giving him this kind of money. I think I can get his production elsewhere for much cheaper, so he's gone. Lugo's gone. Robbie Ray, still wouldn't mind bringing back. He was excellent out of the bullpen as a reliever. This kind of stuff and these kind of pitches, he could be a really excellent reliever, but 4 years, 10 mil, I don't know. We'll see. He's a guy I'm keeping tabs on. What else happened here? Stroman became a free agent. Nimmo, we did not bring back. Now, Nimmo in 2021 had a very good year for us in not totally full-time duty, but 427 plate appearances and put up a 125 OPS plus, 123 WRC plus. But then last year, 504 plate appearances, he was just about league average with the bat. And basically, maybe I'd still bring him back and hope he has a bounce back year. But I let him hit the market. I was not, I wasn't willing to meet his ask, which was actually more than this before he hit the market. I think he's wanting like more between 15 and 18 mil per year rather than the 14.625. So I could see revisiting this. I'll get to more on that in a minute. But he's a free agent for now. Perez is a free agent. I don't see him coming back. He was just absolutely miserable for us last year. Edwin Diaz became a free agent, even though he's been like a backbone of our bullpen. We're negotiating with him, though, and Kiermaier's a free agent. So where does that leave the team? We need a backup catcher. Alonso at first base. Yeah, that could be the case. The rest of this infield will be, I think, what it is now, Seager, Correa, Lindor. Dom Smith in left field. I'd much rather him at first base or DH. We'll see what happens. Robles and McNeil will be, I think, our center fielder and right fielder. Again, McNeil's defense isn't great, but his bat is so good, we're fine with that. Guillorme at DH is not going to happen. Guillorme is a guy who I've kept around because he's excellent insurance on the infield, and he was cheap. He's starting to get more expensive, and he's also always had really good trade value. Like when I hit the Make This Work Now button, he pops up often on those short lists of like 10 players. So keep that in mind. He's going to be moving out this offseason. That's pretty much a done deal. So really, what are we looking for here? I think probably a DH, which will likely be Smith or Alonso. So actually probably a left fielder, I think, is our biggest need here. We'll sign a backup catcher. I think, Guillorme will need a backup infielder. I think Taylor is a utility guy. Almora is a backup outfielder. We'll need a backup infielder, who I think is going to be Ronnie Mauricio, number 40 prospect in baseball. Not outstanding anywhere on the diamond and out of the park, but a good hitter. I think he's ready for this next step, and it'll be exciting to get a young player in there. So that's the hitting side. Again, I think the biggest need at this point is a left fielder, or maybe a DH if we wanted to leave Dom Smith out in left field, but I'd rather not. Pitching side of thing, DeGrom, Castillo, who, by the way, won the Cy Young last year in 2022. Gossman, I think I'm fine with that. Peterson and Sapuki, I am fine with them as starters, but I like to go into seasons really with like 7 or 8 guys I'm fine with being starting pitchers. So while I think I'd be fine with them as a 4 and a 5, like if you told me all 5 of these guys are going to stay healthy, 100% guarantee, I think I'd be okay with it, and then maybe make a move for like an ace at the deadline, right, to bolster this staff. I think this is a good enough staff, but I like to have depth because injuries are going to happen. And if injuries don't happen, it's awesome to have depth. So I'd love to add 2 more starters, push Peterson and Sapuki to the bullpen. Now the bullpen, I think Canely and Anderson are 2 good back-end guys. I think King is a guy with options, so I think he's just going to be really good depth. He's good enough to pitch in the majors and might end up doing it, but I'm not counting on him as that right now. So basically I see Mears and Howard, they're both out of options, and I think are both good enough to pitch for me. Like, Mears is really good. Howard's really good. I think if Canely and Anderson were the top 2 guys in my bullpen, or 2 of my back-end guys, and then Mears, Howard, Peterson, Sapuki were kind of like the last 4 guys, that leaves 2 more arms that I kind of want as back-end guys with Canely and Anderson. So I think 2 starters, 2 relievers. That's all we need here to compete now, or to win the World Series. No, and not all that has to happen right away. We can make moves at the trade deadline for an ace if we want it. Now I have started making some offers. You can see here, this is just a backup catcher who will be somewhere in the minor leagues. He was a leader. He had good catcher ability. He was an international free agent. I figured he's a good guy to bring in as minor league depth. Now these next 2 guys here, we have Hang, whose bat is not much, and I'd hope not to use him at the major league level. But his 70 range, 80 error, 80 double play, 55 arm, and I think he can play some outfield. Yeah, and he's decent in the outfield. He wanted, 1 year, $1 million. I think this is basically 40-man roster depth as backup to Mauricio. It helps soften the blow of losing Guillorme's defense. That's what I saw in him. And same thing with this guy, Villegas. He's a better player. I think he could potentially be better than Mauricio next year just because his defense is better and his bat's pretty good. But he's more 40-man depth. Doesn't have good work ethic or intelligence, but basically the 70 infield range and then 50 outfield range with the 75 arm. I think he's, for $1 million, he's a great guy to have on the 40-man and have in AAA and call up if you have injuries in the infield. So both of those guys, that's what they're for. Taylor Rogers, 31 years old, had a nice season for Minnesota last year, has been in Minnesota, had 2 really good seasons in a row. Offered him 2 years, $14 million total deal, so $7 million per year. And then Edwin Diaz, trying to bring him back. Man, he wants a lot of money though. 3 years, $37 million, but we're the Mets, we can afford it. So this would finish off our bullpen. Diaz and Rogers would slot in with Canely and Anderson, and then we'd have Mears, Howard, Peterson, Sapuki. So I think that's a pretty good bullpen. Now, what am I planning on the starting pitching side of things? Well, thank you for asking. Here's what I'm planning on doing. So I did a lot of work in pitching. Is hard to trade for, man. It can be, but then you can find teams that overvalue some of your players and for one reason or another undervalue their ace pitcher. Hello, Milwaukee Brewers. Hello, Brendan Woodruff. We can go get this guy who has led the league in innings the last 2 years and been really good while pitching all those innings. They really want Luis Guillorme. I'm telling you, man, teams are valuing this guy as like a really, really good second baseman, which he is defensively, but good luck with that bat. And then Jalen Palmer is a real decent power hitting prospect. For me, in out of the park, this guy doesn't have a defensive home. 45 range is not good enough for second or short. 60 arm. I mean, he could play third base if he ends up being a masher, and he has home run potential. He's a fly ball hitter. I could deal with him at third base, but and looks like he could be okay in the outfield. But I'm not going to hold on to Jalen Palmer over Brandon Woodruff, right? This is not a showstopper for me. I think he could be a good hitting prospect. I think there's still question marks with this bat, though. I think there are serious question marks about the bat and the glove. So he's a good prospect, but he's not a can't-miss superstar. So, of course, I'm going to be willing to deal him. And the third guy is Jake Mangum, who was kind of a 40-man outfielder for us last year. He's got good range. Was not good for us in 21 plate appearances, which is nothing. But was very good in AAA WAR-wise, because he's league average with the bat and very good with defense. But the one thing that's interesting is he's shown a bunch of improvement over his last couple scouting reports. You can see he's shown some improvement. Teams want him. A lot of teams are interested in him this offseason. Maybe he's due for a breakout. But again, not going to be a guy I hold on to, obviously, when we've got Brandon Woodruff possibly coming in. So then I started looking, and I was like, what if I brought in another like ace-type pitcher, and I just had Woodruff come into this rotation with DeGrom, Castillo, Gossman, and like another ace guy. But it's hard, man. Like, I started looking at Julio Urias. So I put my top two prospects, Mooney and Armstrong here, or I guess my second and third best prospects, Sapuki, and then Vientos, who's a decent prospect now. And they're still not interested. Like, it's still like, oh, give us Castillo, Correa, Lindor, McNeil, Robles, or Seager. And this is kind of what I've been running into. Now, I did find one deal that I don't think I'm going to do. I just want to say that. Mets fans, don't jump through the screen at me here. But I found a deal for Pete Alonso, trading Pete Alonso, that I kind of like. Now, I want to say that I love Pete Alonso. I mean, the home run derby last year, it was entertaining because Pete Alonso's incredibly entertaining. He's a great power hitter, marquee player for the Mets. But he's a first base DH guy, and he wasn't good last year. A 105 WRC plus, a 112 OPS plus. His on base was 309. He wasn't that good. One WAR. Now, hopefully he'll get a bounce back, but he's eaten up $9.4 million in budget space. And, I think we'll get a bounce back. I think I'll hold on to him. I don't think I'll make this deal, but Jose Urquidy is a really good pitcher. He's a really good pitcher. Now, he hasn't been great for Houston the last 2 years, but I think he's a really good starter, and I think Alonso's bat with how he played last year is replaceable. Now, I think Alonso could bounce back and be a really guy that's really hard to replace, but I don't think I'm going to do this. But trading Alonso is on the table, and at that point we'd move Dom Smith probably to first base and go out and sign two bats, like a DH and a left fielder. Left field, man, I don't know what I'm gonna do. Just looking at all outfielders that are free agents, it's tough. It's tough sledding out here. We've got Michael Brantley, who is probably, honestly, the most enticing guy out here, but he's got a wrecked injury history. Now, he did play in 155 games last year. We'll give him that. The year before, only 98. I don't know. He wants 5 years, $19 million. I'm not worried about the 5-year term because we're only doing one more year. I don't know. I think that's a lot of money for a guy who's likely going to be hurt. Nimmo's out here. Joey Gallo's out here. I don't know. He was league average the last 2 years pretty much. Benintendi is out here. He was not any good last year. He's been league average the last 2 years with the bat. Now, could I buy low on Benintendi and, hope he plays more to his potential? Sure. But he's not willing to play for my manager, so I guess not. All right, fine. So yeah, I've looked at trades for left fielders. There's just not a lot out there that I love. I'm really not sure what we're going to do. We might end up bringing back Brandon Nimmo. Maybe we'll bring in Starling Marte. No, he's fragile, and yeah, he's 34. I don't know that we're going to bring him in. Margot is another possible option, but again, the bat is just kind of pretty weak. Clint Frazier has not done much at the major league level, much like real life. So yeah, and I've looked around at trades, and I cannot find anything that's reasonable for a decent left fielder. Starting wise, we could, again, if we brought in Woodruff, I'd still want to bring in one more starter. And let me show you what we're working with here. I think, Verlander's out for 4 to 5 months. So he's not back until a month in the season. He's 39, almost 40. Carrasco is hurt for 5 more months and coming off a shoulder injury. Mike Clevenger's an interesting guy for sure. Had a really nice season for San Diego. And $18 million per year is doable. And he's 31. I'd like to get this term down a little bit, but I think we could get into this bidding, although I haven't yet. Musgrove is another guy, $9 million per year. Robbie Ray is out here, but he wants like 4 years, $10 million per year, and I think he's maybe more suitable as a back end of the bullpen guy. Sonny Gray, $17.5 million. You know, it gets expensive out here. I might just kind of like wait to see what falls through the cracks in both left field and starting pitching, and then, you know, if push comes to shove, sign a guy that's kind of like take a flyer on a guy, so to speak, to see if we can get like maybe a bounce back from Benintendi or a breakout year, and then address like the superstar need at the trade deadline or as the season goes on. We might do that because I think this team is good enough to win the division. I think this team, you know, is good enough to be in contention without like adding another superstar left fielder, without adding another starter on top of Woodruff. So we could go into the season with some holes looking to upgrade, but I'm going to work through this offseason here, skip ahead a little bit, and let you know where we're at. So hold, please. All right, so I've gone ahead about a week, and a little over a week, and man, I revisited this Brewers trade. I didn't pull the trigger yet because I forgot to. I started simming ahead just like a couple days at a time to see what free agents are doing. Like, oh yeah, I had this trade I wanted to do, and I was like, man, Christian Yelich is a pretty good left fielder. You know, now in real life, he's shown some serious decline the last couple seasons. Here in out of the park world, he's still been really good. Now he's 31, so comes with risk for sure. He's a good left fielder. His contract is a bit of a nightmare, given his age. But he's still an elite player in out of the park. Now, the Brewers are, man, they're really wanting some budget space here. So they're interested in Cameron Clines. You know, the Guillorme Palmer Mangum we covered earlier. Cameron Clines is a 19-year-old pitcher who looks pretty decent, man. Like, I drafted him in the 23rd round of 2021. He's pitched 2 years in rookie ball. He's got low intelligence. Stamina is only 40. Doesn't look. I mean, I could see why a team would be like, yes, this 19-year-old pitching prospect with you know some ceiling still to work with, we'd be interested in him. I can see that. Also interested in Blake Wyman, who is on our 40-man, and I got him from Pittsburgh apparently back in 2021. Don't remember that deal, but apparently I did. So he's just kind of like bullpen depth. Now, I mean, this like does kind of kill our budget. We only have 21 million left. And but I think that includes, I'm like drawing a blank here. I think that includes the offers we have out there. Normally, like once you put offers out there, that comes out of your available money. So I think we could have all that other stuff done. You know, the 2 bullpen arms signed, the depth, the infield depth guys signed, and we'd address our bullpen or our starting rotation and our left field issue. I don't know, kind of hard to say no to this, although, you know, this would not, I don't think I'd be willing to take on this Yelich contract if I was playing with this team long term, because that's, you know, one of my hesitations. So yeah, I mean, one disappointing thing that happens, I kind of like skipped ahead a little bit of the time, and Clevenger went to Seattle for 2 years, $30 million, $15.2 million. Easily would have done that deal. I would have loved to have brought in Woodruff and then brought in Clevenger on that deal. Frazier went to the Cubs on a 4-year, $91.6 million deal. Carrasco did go to the Phillies, so he's in the division. Those were the big signings. Michael Brantley's still out there, but, you know, honestly, I think I prefer Yelich. I prefer his health history, I think, because, you know, this is before his back issues were too bad, I guess. Yeah, he's been fine. I think this is a no-brainer. I think I got to do it. You know, forget the budget. We're the Mets, and we're trying to win a World Series this year. Let's bring in 2 superstars. All right. You guys good with this? I'm good with this. Oh, we traded for an all-star. All right. So it almost crashed that we go to Guillorme. Okay, sure. Increased slightly for Woodruff and slightly for Yelich. So yeah, I think we just significantly upgraded our ball club. We'll go ahead and move these guys in. We'll see where Buck sees them slotting in. Of course, these rosters aren't complete at all. So yeah, he's got Yelich going into left field and batting leadoff. Okay, against righties anyways. Batting second against lefties. And then he's got Smith going to first and Alonso going to DH. So, I mean, this lineup is obscene. Yelich, Robles, Smith, Seager, Alonso, McNeil, Lindor batting seventh is just bonkers crazy, Buck. Let's correct that. Correa and Real Muto. I mean, this is an all-star team lineup. It's a really good lineup. Pitching side of things, it might be even better. Woodruff is going in as the number 3 behind DeGrom and Castillo. We're, of course, going to put him on a pitch limit just because I like to keep the AI from injuring my pitchers and leaving guys in too long. I normally do anywhere between like 85 and 100, 90 to 100. So nobody has signed yet, those free agents, although a bunch of them come back saying they liked my offer. So, man, we've made a big splash already. We'll see what we do about this another starter that we want. Might go look at Musgrove, Ray. I think I might wait for the dust to settle on the relievers and all that first, just budget room wise. I could lower some of these budgets. I kind of told myself I wasn't going to lower either below 12 million in this sim just to keep it realistic. But let's go ahead and just do this now. So there's another 3 million in room. We've still got plenty of room. But I think I'm going to see how these deals work out with the relievers and all that first before going and looking at more pitching. But I think we solved our left field problem. I think that'll play. That'll be fine. And I think it gives us also another bat as coverage in case Pete Alonso has another down year. So yeah, that's the Blockbuster trade for now. And skip ahead a little further. All right, jumped ahead a good bit. We're up to January 31st. The headline, of course, is that Tucker Barnhart is now our backup catcher. Welcome aboard, Tucker. $1,420,069 contract. Really just here for his defensive ability. Again, I would have preferred the 70 catcher ability. It just wasn't happening. Anybody signed with a 70 or above, the price was too steep. The only real free agent out there with 70 or above was Roberto Perez, and again, he was just so bad last year. I couldn't do it. So Tucker is here. He's our backup catcher. We did make some other moves. Let's start with the headline. We signed Aaron Nola. So you can see Aaron Nola has a torn flexor tendon. So his market was cool. He got hurt. Sorry, that's not right. So he got hurt. He had forearm soreness in 2021. And then 2022 in June, he tore his flexor tendon. And so he's going to end up missing, like 10 months or so, I guess. And so his market was very cool. And he also wasn't very good during the time that he was healthy for the Phillies. Like he was kind of below, he was like league average-ish for 13 starts. Of course, the year before he was great. Stellar WAR, stellar ERA, FIP. Everything looked like Nola the year before. Now, because of his torn flexor tendon, like I said, the market was very cool on him. And, I don't think he'd ever sign this deal in real life. I think he'd probably sign like a 1 or 2 year prove it deal for probably a lot more money than this. But we got him for 4 years, $48 million. He's got a no trade clause. He's got some bonuses in here. But yeah, I mean, and we did. Oh, and he would consider a trade to Philadelphia. That's funny. We do lose a second and a 5th round pick for signing him. But I think this just makes our rotation so good. Edwin Diaz did sign. Taylor Rogers did sign. I'm hoping Buck doesn't relegate him to just being a lefty specialist. I think he could be so much more than that. So yeah, I think this will be our rotation. Our bullpen, I think, Diaz, Canely, Sapuki, I think will all be in the bullpen. Anderson will be in the bullpen. Mears is out of options. Man, I mean, he's going to have a good camp. He obviously looks excellent, but we've also got Riley Gilliam here, who's come up through our system. He's a fly ball pitcher, but yeah, he might need to make our team. He does have option years, though. Sam Howard is out of options, but I just don't know that he's going to make this club. We'll see. Brett Conine, McGill. McGill looks pretty good. David Peterson, I think, could make the team. There's going to be a lot of competition here in the back end of the bullpen. And I also do have an offer out to David Robertson because I thought more depth would be even good, but I think I'm actually going to withdraw this offer. I think I have enough depth, and I have enough guys battling and a few guys already out of options. We're just going to withdraw that offer. So we do have $13.2 million left, but I think our team is pretty complete. I'm not going to go out and sign any more starters. I could see adding a reliever at some point. We'll see what happens. This starting lineup, I think, is excellent. Hopefully, Alonso bounces back. Hopefully, Correa. Looks like Correa. I think, Barnhart will be a backup. Taylor will be a backup. Mauricio isn't listed here because some of these guys, these international free agents did sign. I don't think I'm going to start with them on the team. I think I'm going to go with Mauricio. And then Taylor and Almora will be the backups. This could very well be the team, but we'll see. I might get antsy and make some more moves. But yeah, but I think in general this will be the team. And I think we're going to be an excellent team. This rotation and the lineup are just obscenely good. Let me show you what else happened around the league in terms of moves. We'll go in from latest to oldest here. Let me see if I can get my mouse to cooperate. There we go. A bunch of one-year deals. So Keuchel, for some reason, signed in Colorado. Robert Gsellman did go to the Cubs, 3 years, $50 million deal. Yeah, I wasn't going to give him that. Good for him. There's our Nola deal. I basically got Nola for less than Gsellman. Some reliever deals. Good for you guys. Oh, Mike Zunino going to Milwaukee, signing, using all that money that they saved by trading away Yelich. Matthew Boyd went to Seattle on a big deal. Didi to San Francisco for 4 years. Sonny Gray to Philly for 5 years. Philly's making a lot of moves here. There's Kiermaier went to the Nats. There are our deals. Edwin Diaz came to town. Taylor Rogers came to town. Justin Turner, 2-year deal to the Cubs. Jock Peterson, 2-year deal to the Angels. Brantley did go to the Angels for 3 years and $14.7 million per. Stroman went to Houston for a deal that I would have considered giving him, but really just no need with the big fish that we were catching out there. Again, this Clevenger deal, I wish I had jumped in on that sooner, but here we are. So we're going to wrap the episode there. I think, I'll come back next episode. We'll start with the season preview, and then we'll jump in. I'll do probably like the first half of the season or so in the next episode, but this was our off-season. I think we're once again the off-season champs. I think bringing in, the headliners, Woodruff, Nola, and Yelich. And then, oh, by the way, Edwin Diaz, Taylor Rogers. I think this is a good team. I think we've done all we can for Buck here. He's got to go out and win it for us now because this is his last year's deal. So thanks for watching, and we'll be back next time with the final season, the 2023 MLB season. We're trying to get Buck Showalter that ring. I will talk to you guys then. Take care.